And now, prepare your ear holes for penetration as we bring you another great podcast from the Poop Culture Extended Universe.
Hey dudes and dudettes, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Be Kind and Rewind podcast, a podcast chock full of everything that is nostalgic about the 80s, 90s, and more. I'm your host, Carlos. This episode, we're celebrating Comic-Con season by getting into our cosplay, buying our favorite toys, while standing in what seems like endless lines for that one celebrity to list our best and worst parts of Comic-Con. So joining me is my amigo, who is the premier expert of all things nostalgia and lifetime guest of the podcast. So I welcome back Bobby Semelsberger to the podcast.
Woo! We're going to Comic-Con. I'm in Hall H. Oh my god, look at all the celebs. I just saw footage. Woo! That's what you hear a lot when you go to these conventions. Carlos, thank you for having me back. I'm happy to be back. I might be a little rusty. It's been a while since I've been behind this mic, but I hope I'm going to do you well. I've been brushing up on my Comic-Con knowledge and my trivia, try and make you proud.
Of course, my man, it's a pleasure to have you back. Like I said, it's been a little while since we had you back, but it's going to be a continuing thing for sure, and we're back to talk about some Comic-Con things. Just jumping right into it, Comic-Cons, it's that season, summer season. The Comic-Cons are going on all over the place. Do they frequently happen around you, or are they just it's just like the big one in San Francisco or San Diego? Which ones do you kind of target?
Well, because luckily I am in San Francisco right now. I'm in the Bay Area, so there are... In the Bay Area, you know, we have all these. You got Palo Alto down there, where like Facebook is and all that stuff, and then also you have Oakland, and so we have a lot of different conventions. We just had the San Francisco Comic-Con, which took place this weekend, but it was in Oakland for some reason, so I don't know how that worked out. I didn't end up going because I didn't want to go to Oakland because that's kind of a long drive. That is another problem with the Bay Area, is everything is super far, even though it all kind of counts as the Bay Area. But yeah, we have a lot of different ones. We have There's a Santa Clara one. There's the Dragon Con, I think, is around here. Like I said, then the San Francisco one. I went to the Sacramento Wizard Con last year, which was fun. We can talk about that later.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, because there's so many different areas, we got a lot of people wanting to have fun, wanting the cosplay, and every time is a good time. Always.
Well, like going into the Comic-Con history, you know, they've been around since the 70s. They actually started out in the California area. You know, I think it was down in LA or San Diego. San Diego was one of the first ones, I think, that they started out back in the 70s, trying to get people out of the nerd culture, out of their basements of their mothers, to get them to go, you know, maybe be a little social with some people out there.
Build communities, you know, find each other that like the same stuff they do.
But at these first conventions, of course, it was just like all the passionate, loyal fans of whatever, like Star Trek and whatever was hot at the time for the nerd culture. But now, you know, they've developed into this whole thing where, of course, quote unquote, nerd culture is a popular thing. So everybody's into it. No matter like brothers, sisters, mom, dads, everybody's into it. So it's not just the basement dwellers of back in the day. So, and like you were talking about, for me in Denver, we were celebrating the Denver Comic-Cons this week, and so this one has been growing over the last like 5 or 6 years that I've lived here in Denver, to the point now they're saying it's like over 100,000 people are going to be showing up. Which
cool.
And in San Diego, I don't know how big that gets, but it's getting up in that ranks. It's not quite there, but it's getting up there. And so I'm excited to go check it out this weekend. Like you mentioned, cosplay, people just seeing the all crazy action going out there, seeing maybe some of these toys that we might be able to pick up at some of these places. These are things that we're going to be getting into. But like I said, it's kind of want to get your experience about Comic-Cons. Is this something that you've always gone to, or is it something you kind of got into later in life?
Yeah, you know, so I'm from San Diego, so I've actually had the fortune and continue to have the fortune until the big mecca, the San Diego Comic-Con, which I like to believe is the mother. I don't think you can really argue that any other convention comes close to that one. I think, you know, you have New York Comic-Con, WonderCon, you know, you're saying the Denver one is getting up there. I mean, there's a lot of ones that are getting big, but as of right now, the mama, the grandmother of them all is, of course, San Diego Comic-Con, and so I've been fortunate enough to go into that convention, which I think a lot of people want to go or they hear amazing things about. And according to me, it is amazing, but you could talk to other people that say it isn't. So I grew up in San Diego, so I remember going to the San Diego Comic-Con before it was like the big deal that it was. Before, as you're saying, like before being a nerd was cool. Like I grew up, you know, mainly in like the late 90s, early 2000s when Spider-Man all of a sudden was the biggest movie, and that's when all these superhero movies started becoming super popular and cool. So then being a nerd or being in the comics or being in the superheroes or whatever was now just the norm, like it is now. Like now being a nerd, you get bullied if you're not a nerd. You get bullied if you didn't see Avengers opening weekend.
You're getting bullied by the nerds.
You're the weird kid if you didn't see Avengers or you didn't wait for the post-credit sequence. It's like, what's wrong with you, dude? We're going to throw your head in the toilet. Like, that's how the times have changed. But anyway, I remember going to Comic-Con with my dad way back in like 2002. I think when the first Spider-Man movie came out, like I was talking about, that movie had a huge influence on me just because I love superheroes. And up until then, we didn't have a lot of superhero movies. You had the Batman movies, which fizzled out. But even though at the time I was a kid, so I loved Batman and Robin, I loved Batman Forever. I loved the original Christopher Reeve Superman 1, 2, 3, 4. I loved even 4. I thought 4 was great as a kid. But you didn't have a lot of other superhero movies. So Spider-Man came out, big screen, crazy special effects, huge opening weekend. I saw that movie. I had the poster for that movie in my room like 2 months before the movie even came out. I don't know how we got it, but it was like a genuine like movie theater poster. And I was like, oh my God, like I couldn't wait for that movie. And so when that became so popular, and I think my parents or my dad or whoever was like, oh wow, he really like loves this comic book type stuff. That was when I think I started getting more into actual physical comic books, which I don't think I had up until that point. And my dad took me to Comic-Con, which at that point was big, but wasn't what it is now where you can't even get tickets anymore. Like at that point, like I can tell my grandkids, I remember the day where I went to San Diego Comic-Con. You could just walk right in.
My day.
It was a Saturday and we just walked right in, we stood in line for 10 minutes and got a pass. That's how it used to be. And obviously before that it used to take place in like a hotel basement from what I know, and eventually grew and grew and grew. But so it's really, that's was kind of like my initial thing. And so I've been lucky enough to experience San Diego Comic-Con from the 2000s, and then all of a sudden probably around 2009, 2010 is when that thing got massive. And when all the movie stars started, because that's really what happened is once the movies, like I said, the movies kicked in, movie stars are in these movies, the big movie stars then come to Comic-Con. Now it's a media thing. Now everyone wants to be there. Like I remember the one year I didn't go was when they had the whole cast of X-Men 2. Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart, Halle Berry, Ian McKellen, and so on and so forth. Like I just remember they had the big cast, and up until that point, that was like the biggest thing that Comic-Con had ever had, because they had comic book artists, and Stan Lee obviously was always there, or people from TV shows maybe, but having the actual movie stars and these big budget movies show up, that's when I remember that. I remember driving with my dad to go to the Comic-Con being like, yeah, and there was a massive line out front because everyone wanted to see Hugh Jackman and the cast of X-Men, which those movies were massive. So I remember that, and then like I said, jump 7-8 years, and now it's all movies, all TV shows, everything, and all those things are now the most. Walking Dead, is still pretty popular. Game of Thrones is huge, and all these Marvel movies, DC movies, Star Wars movies, these are now the biggest movies of all time. So now everyone wants to go. So it's a completely different experience now, but still, I like to fly to San Diego every summer and just hang out. I can't get tickets in. I can't. There's no way I can.
They're tough.
But just hanging out around the convention, there is so much to do outside of it. So if anybody does have the fortune, or maybe somebody who lives in San Diego, Carlos, you know me. So if you ever want to come out, hang at my place,
it's happening,
dude. We can take the trolley downtown. And like I said, there's so much stuff everywhere that you can just do for free. You stand in line because everyone's just trying to promote stuff. We're trying to promote the Tick on Amazon. Come see the Tick. And so it's just like, hang out with the Tick experience. It's like there's an experience for every show, comic, or anything that anybody's trying to promote. So anyway, it's crazy. But yeah, I love the Comic-Cons. I love the feel, the spirit. It can definitely get a little rowdy. It can be a little much, but I like that everyone is there to celebrate one thing. Everyone, for the most part, is just like you. We all like dressing up and having fun. So that's why I love the experience, and that's why I love going.
Man, that's awesome. You got the fortune of going to the Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con growing up. And like you said, it was like you got to go before it became the huge thing that it is, because nowadays trying to get tickets, you have to like buy tickets a year in advance almost.
It's insane.
Yeah. And like you said, getting in there before the heavy crowds, like when it was more focused maybe on the comics before than it was the movies, and now it's more the opposite, which, excuse me, they keep trying to get that back to the comics, but we're dealing more with the movies and infiltrating the major Comic-Cons at least.
Yeah, and the thing is now, I mean, the quietest parts, ironically, of now Comic-Con are the artist corners, I think. It's like, here's a comic book writer from this one comic that most people don't know. But over here, like that's another thing. You just see crowds of people start moving because when you're in like the San Diego Convention Hall, it's a mosh in there too. So there's definitely arguments, and we can talk about the best things and the worst things of being there. But like I said, the energy is great, but there's also times where you're like, there's way too many people. It smells like farts. And like, I don't know where any of these lines are for. There's so many lines everywhere. Everyone's tired, you know, and you can barely move sometimes. So there are some down parts, definitely. But like I said, I try to be optimistic just because, like, when I do, sometimes I'm able to, you know, sometimes you can maybe trade off a pass here or there if you know somebody that is in the convention. I'm just saying, I don't do that. But maybe I've been in once or twice in the last couple of years. And like I said, I just try to take in the fact that some people are not lucky enough to be able to fly in. Some people, like I said, the only reason I go is because my family lives in San Diego, so I have a place to stay. If I had to go through the hotel situation, like there's a lottery system now just to get a hotel. And then once you get a hotel, I'm assuming you're paying like $600 a night to stay downtown. Like everything included, yeah, Comic-Con, the big one at least, is insane. And maybe for some people it's not worth it. But anyway, I like to think that I am fortunate enough to be here. So even all the bad stuff I try to push away just to be like, wow, I'm here. What everyone wants to see, what everyone wants to be at. I mean, all conventions are cool. Don't get me wrong. But like I said, that's the big one. Or New York Comic Con or WonderCon or any of the big ones. Like, it is kind of nice to like look around and be like, wow, this is insane. This only happens once a year. I'm lucky to be here. So I never try to take that for granted.
Sorry, I got a frog in my throat.
No, I just got you emotional. That's what happened.
You did. You got me that incredible story. No, that's, like I said, it's awesome that you got like basically in the Mecca. And for me, kind of like the opposite. My experience growing up in a small town in Kansas, we didn't have Comic-Con.
Yeah.
We had, I mean, Kansas City was the closest city to me. And growing up without Google or the internet, like I wasn't reading the newspaper every week to find out what Comic-Con was happening. I didn't even know they existed until I was like, I think middle school.
Yeah, same
And
here.
that's when I was like, okay, well, I got to figure out where they are, how to get to them, but you're still a kid. You can't make everything work out. So it really wasn't until I was in like out of college before I really, because even in college, like I was into my own stuff. I wasn't getting into Comic-Cons. I was just trying to basically trying not to fail out of school.
You're like, I'm not a nerd. I don't need this nerd stuff.
For 6 years. Yeah, I think I just kind of put that kind of thing to the side for a minute. And so finally, when I got out of college, I was living in Tampa with my wife, and I was like, "Oh, Comic-Con convention, let's go check this out." And it was a smaller one. It was like, you know, just had like the Ghostbusters, you know, the people who dress up like them, some Stormtroopers, some standard stuff. So I was getting into it. I definitely enjoyed it. I didn't know how big they could be. I only knew of San Diego, New York, and the bigger ones.
Yeah.
I didn't know like of WizardCon and DragonCon. Like I only thought the major ones existed. And so it took me so long to come around with Comic-Con. So when I finally did, and then we moved to Denver like 5 years ago, the Denver Comic-Con was just like on another level. Like, you know, the Tampa one, maybe a couple thousand people showed up, whereas this one's 100,000 plus people are showing up. Downtown convention, and you see any and everybody dressed up in all characters that you recognize and don't recognize, and just seeing people having a great time, like you said, just having a great experience inside the convention and outside of it, because there's all kinds of experiences and people promoting things. And so for me, it was just like I was in awe the whole time, because I had only had experience with the small Comic-Cons in Kansas City or in Tampa, and to see now Denver's, and I can't even imagine what going to San Diego's would be like compared. But yeah, it's just like just being in that room with everybody who's enjoying the same thing that you are, the same things, but it can get a little overwhelming when your shoulder hurted like cattle and things like that, which we'll get into. But yeah, like for me, growing up, I grew up in a small town, so it took me a while to get into it. So I think my enthusiasm is still at a full, just because I got into it so late. So we're doing the cosplay this year. We're going to get into that a little bit later. First time this year, finally going to do some cosplay. Yeah, so I'm excited. I'm definitely excited. So yeah, I just wanted to get into our experiences of Comic-Con. I mean, I knew you had some experience, but I didn't realize you had such deep experience of the Mecca of the San Diego Comic-Con. So that's awesome. So we're definitely going to get into that a little bit more as well. So, but like I said earlier, we're here to talk about the best and worst of the Comic-Cons. I did a little Twitter poll just to kind of get a feel of everybody, how the listeners feel about their favorite parts of Comic-Con. So I listed, for the listeners, what is your favorite part of Comic-Cons? Is it going to be the comics? Is it the celebrity guests? Is it toys and merchandise? Or is it the panels? And it was a close race for most of the day, but celebrity guests it won out with 30%, just over toys and merchandise at 28%. So everybody likes to go see their celebrity guests, which I'll get into as well. We will get into the best and worst of those situations, but everyone, they love to go see their celebrity guests. I guess if you like waiting in line, then that's your gig. A couple Twitter shout outs that we had Poop Culture at Poop Culture Podcast said panels are the favorite if they are good. The biggest pet peeve is when a show has shitty panels. It kills the whole vibe. Denver has a stout lineup, though.
Oh, yeah?
We just had, like, Val Kilmer is coming. He was
Batman
like a late
himself.
edition. Batman himself, yeah. Keith Coogan, who is a recent guest, he's gonna be there, so we get to see him. Yeah, pretty much. And so we're gonna be seeing him there. It's gonna be awesome. And then, trying to think who else. People from Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, Stranger Things. So like they're stepping up their game with the hosts or the celebrity guests and the panels. So I'm definitely pumped up to see what that's all about. The next one we had was Flick X-Rayed at Flicks X-Rayed. They said, "Love me some good panels. Celebrity guests are overrated. It's not like you get to have a good conversation with them," which is, he's got a point there. It's you don't have the enough time to make that connection, but we'll be getting into that for sure. But now we're gonna get into our best and worst of Comic-Con. The first one that I have listed here is the good old cosplay. We're gonna go over cosplay because this is something that I've always been enamored with ever since I started going to Comic-Con. It's like the amount of detail that people put into their outfits, the characters that they pick. Even when people come in groups, this is pure dedication when you see people who put in that time and effort and that detail for cosplay. Have you ever cosplayed at a Comic-Con?
I have a couple times, and do you want me to break it down? Because I got a couple different ones.
Let's break it down, I'll reveal mine after you break down yours.
I got some, and this is what I want you to do, Carlos, too. I'm gonna send this to you after. I want you to take these photos of me cosplaying because I have photos of each time. I think I've mainly done it 3 times, and I want you to post them online when you let out this podcast, so everyone can really paint a picture. But there is something. So I like to make my own costumes. I don't know why, but it's just something kind of fun about it, and it just really gives me that Comic-Con kind of feeling, because I don't want to just go to a Halloween shop or whatever and just be like, oh, I'm Optimus Prime, and I'm just wearing a spandex, whatever, but here's the thing. I'm not great at making stuff. So what I mainly do is, because you see these people when you go to these Comic-Cons and they make legit, like there's people all year that make some crazy cool stuff. I don't know if you ever saw the guy who dressed up as the Hulkbuster, like a legitimate Hulkbuster. He was like 9 feet tall and was like, I think I actually saw him live, and he was walking around the convention center, and he was, and at that point, you're just asking for people to take photos with you, and that's pretty much what happened. He's just taking photos and stuff. So people spend all year preparing for this, and people have legitimate like stormtrooper outfits, whatever. Anyway, I'm not anywhere near as good as that, but I still want to make my own stuff. So what I do is kind of go for that option where it's homemade, it looks kind of crappy, but you can tell enough of what it actually is. So the first year I was Iron Man, and so I got a box, like an actual box, and I cut out armholes, and I put my arm through the armholes, and I got an actual Iron Man mask that you can buy from like Target, like a plastic one for like $12. Wore that mask, and I just put red and yellow construction paper, and then for the arc reactor in the middle, I used the top of a flashlight, cut a little hole, and put that right in the center of the box. And you know what? And so that was the first year I did that, and also all of a sudden I was like, people actually really like this, because like I said, it's that mixture of you made the costume yourself, but people can tell it's kind of crappy, so they're kind of laughing at you, but also like I said, once again, it's such a great experience that most people are like, dude, you're awesome. So I actually get a lot of photos taken with me. And so, and to feed my ego, I'm kind of like, ooh, I kind of like this. So that's why I've kind of been doing it ever since. And so that was like a couple years ago. And then I was a Ninja Turtle another year. Once again, a box. Basically, I'm incorporating a box however I can. I don't know why. I love wearing boxes. Let's not look into it, because that's what I do with my psychiatrist, okay? But I got an orange t-shirt. I cut it up, so I made that my orange bandana. I put green construction paper over the box, and that was it. And I was Michelangelo, and people just go with it. That type of place, it's the one type of place you could wear that type of thing, and I could probably get laid. I don't know, but it's that only. And then last year, because once again I was like, what can I make out of a box? I was the Hulk, green. I got some, I got a Hulk mask, and I just act, with a lot of confidence, like I had big muscles. But, I was just my frail self. I always am. So anyway, that's my cosplaying experience. And this year at Comic-Con, I will be going back in July. I don't know what it is yet, but I'll be trying to figure out what I can do with a box. So if anybody out there listening has any ideas, tweet at me, Captain Boberto. What can I make out of a box? Let me know.
We're gonna get it figured out for you. That's awesome. The box theme has got to stay, so we're gonna figure that out. So yeah, like you said, cosplaying, I feel like it's a whole different experience with Comic-Con. Like, you're there to enjoy, but if you're getting your pictures taken, get some attention, it could boost the confidence a little bit, make you feel good about the work you put in to get your outfit, no matter how awesome you may think it is. Like you said, with the mashup, with the you don't know if they're laughing with you or against you,
really matter.
but
We're
they're
all
taking
having
those
fun.
awesome pictures. No. Everyone's having fun, of course, and like I talked about earlier, this is my first year that I'm really gonna go full into it. So my wife and we're gonna rock out Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
I was gonna guess that, like legitimately. I was like, if you asked me to guess it, I'm like, Bill and Ted.
Yes, I've tried to pull off, and people who've listened have probably heard me talk about these stories. I've tried pulling off Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey at least a handful of times in my life ever since grade school. I dressed up as Ted in like 3rd grade, and nobody in my class knew who I was. Even in like when it came out, like none of my friends were like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "Well, I don't have Bill with me. I was just dressed up as Ted." So it was one of those. I did it to myself, and then we did it in like high school with some friends, and of course only a few people knew. And we did it in college, same situation. So it's kind of been hit and miss. But I feel like Comic-Con, that's the right place for the Bill and Ted, especially with the Bill and Ted 3 news that just came out. So I feel like it's relevant enough. People who are going to be there of the age that should recognize Bill and Ted. So I'll be rocking out. My hair, you haven't seen, I've been growing it out for so long. My bangs go down to my chin at this point. And so my wife's going to be rocking out the Bill outfit. I got my Ted outfit. And our niece is coming in. She's going as a supernatural character. So she's not going to be in the group, but she's going to be
she couldn't be Rufus or something?
So I thought about maybe initiating her, but we'll see. We're gonna show her the movie, so we'll see if we can get her.
They're like, "Oh, Carlos, we don't want that. I want to be Iron Man. I don't want your stupid old movie."
Or like those parents who like dress their kids up like Wayne's World. They have no idea who Wayne's World are, but they're 3 years old.
Yeah, they're like, "No, I like Paw Patrol. I don't want to be your stupid old thing."
Exactly. So no, I'm excited to get into it. I wonder, some pictures are taken with this. Like you said, this could be an ego booster. It could blow my head up. I could be creating a monster.
Yeah. Got ready to play some air guitar, because if people love it, they're gonna want some photos, and it's gonna feed into your ego. And when that 3rd movie does come out in a couple years, that's the time. If it's not popular this time, it's gonna finally be your time. People are gonna be like, "Oh, that new movie." That's right.
A 5th or 6th time's a charm of pulling off this Bill and Ted outfit.
That wife of yours is a keeper.
So one of these times it's going to hit. She is. She truly is. She was totally down for it, so we're making it happen. Her outfit's actually like more spot on than mine is, and I love the way mine turned out. So I'll definitely post pictures of that this weekend, so you'll get to see all those while doing some air guitars. So people keep an eye out for that. Bobby, let us know. Get some pictures of your cosplay as well. We'll get those posted when you hit up your Comic-Con. So, like we said, we talked about cosplaying. Now we're going to get the best and worst of cosplaying. So just kind of jumping into the best parts of it. My first thing, like we already talked about, is just the creativeness people get into. Like you go for outfits like you kind of play it down, but it's still funny and unique enough that like I love this. I love where this guy is going. I got to get a picture. Or you get to the whole Megatron, someone who looks like they're literally from the movie walking around. Like, holy shit, that guy put some time into it. So like seeing the variance between is like, it's awesome to me. Like I can appreciate every single one, like you kind of had talked about. So that's kind of the best thing one of the best things I love.
No, you just nailed it. Like I said, it's the fact, like I said, we're all in this together. Kind of, it's a fun spirit. Like I'm wearing a costume and people go, "Hey man, that's cool. It's awesome." Even if, like I said, I look kind of like shit. Like I know I do. But people are like genuinely like, "Hey man, you tried," and right on. And I think some of them maybe are in on the joke. Like I know it's crap. Like I did this kind of on purpose. Like I kind of I want you to see the duct tape. Like I'm kind of going for it. And some people get it, some people don't. But it doesn't matter because each way I'm happy. But I think, I don't know. I guess one of my cons is that there's so many different characters that you see that I'm almost kind of like, like, it makes me feel dumb because I don't even know who half of these characters are. Like, there's anime. Like, I don't know anime. Like, I get the Comic-Con. I'm like, man, I've seen every Marvel movie. I'm a huge Marvel nut. I love Star Wars, and I know the DC stuff. And then all of a sudden, it's like, this anime character, this reference to something from 1960s, this dog is a dinosaur from something I've never seen. Like, I can't even keep track of everything, so it just makes me feel kind of dumb. So I appreciate it, but I'm also like, I don't know what you are, so I'm just going to go the other way.
Yeah, it's a maze of like you said, just trying to figure out a filter system, basically. Be like, okay, well, I don't know what that is, so I'm not gonna go that way. Or, hey, that person's really cool, I might get a picture of that, because I feel like that's what I'm gonna be like this year, Bill and Ted. Like, there's gonna be those people like, who the hell is that guy? And then there's gonna be like the older dads who be like, get out of my way, it's Bill and Ted, like trying to push people to get over. So like, it is kind of it can be overwhelming, because when I first went to one of the Comic-Cons here in Denver, it's a smaller one, I was trying to interview some people, just to kind of some of the cosplayers, to get some footage and stuff, and I'd be like, oh, so are you an elf from Lord of the Rings? Like, no, I'm this person from like this real obscure, like, you know, obscure show I'd never heard of. So I'm like, oh, I felt bad, but like they were kind of offended that I didn't know who they were, and it just created this whole awkward situation. So like, yeah, like you said, you think you know what people are, and you make a big fuss about it, or you're like, oh, your costume's awesome, you're this, right? And like, no, that's not who I am. So those are like the awkward.
Now it's like you're not a cool enough nerd. Now you have to, like, there's different levels of nerds. It's not just like, oh, we're all just one big nerd. Sometimes it's like, and it's just like an inner thing personally, but it's like, no, you don't know as much as you've never seen Dragon Ball Z, so you don't know who I am. I'm like, I don't, exactly. But like, I know what Ninja Turtles are, and that's what I am. Like, I don't know. It's just kind of funny.
And I did that to somebody the other day when I told him what we were being for a cosplay. I was like, yeah, we're going to be Bill and Ted's from Bogus Journey. And the girl's like, who? I'm like, oh, you're not living. You don't even know. I can't believe it. And I was like, oh, man, you can't just be judging people like that. I was like, you just let them live their life. Let them figure it out on their own. When she sees the movie, she'll appreciate it, hopefully, at some point. But you can't be, can't be forcing it on people, I guess. If they're not into it, they're not into it. Yeah, you can't force nostalgia onto somebody. So but like you said, there's just so many to sift through that, yeah, it can be a little overwhelming. Another cool thing I like about cosplays is I like to see, like, when families get involved, when there's like you see like 4 Halo characters, you see Master Chief, and then you see smaller Master Chiefs getting throughout their family, like they all get in, like, or the Addams Family or Ghostbusters, they all dress up and get their proton packs. Like, those are things I really like seeing, because it makes you think, oh, maybe one day I'll have a family and we'll dress up for cosplays as well. So like, it's just like those little sentimental things you see with the cosplays as well. There's
some great creativity out there. That's really what it proves.
Oh yeah, especially like when you got the family getting in on it, that's some dedication for sure. One of the cons, though, and I'm sure this is a major thing most people will talk about when it comes to cosplaying, is the harassment and things when it comes to people who are maybe wearing a little more revealing outfits. When it comes to, like you said, with anime, a lot of those characters have very revealing outfits. So that's and for people who are wearing that stuff, yeah, maybe they have the body, or maybe it's a good ego booster, and maybe they love all the pictures, but maybe they don't want to get harassed too. So those are things that, like, people have to keep in mind, that that they maybe want some of the attention, but not quite that kind of attention. And so it is kind of unfortunate whenever you see people have to deal with that, male or female. It happens both ways. So like, that to me, I feel like is a downside. And personally, to me, I try not to take, like, when I take a lot of pictures of people who cosplay at Comic-Cons, but I try to get it of like people who are like who come up with like a creative idea, not just like, ooh, you look really cute in that outfit, let me get a picture, like that old creeper guy, because I'm a 30 plus now at this point, so I'm officially that creeper guy if I'm doing that.
Yeah, you just can't avoid that. Unfortunately, like, people suck. That's really what it is. Sometimes just people suck. So what are you going to do? Hopefully we're getting better as a society. But honestly, I don't have to deal with that, so I don't know the worst of it. But I know there's definitely people that deal with it. So yeah, that's a good call. I wish we were all just nicer to each other.
I know. Like you're saying earlier, we're all in the same spot. Yeah. We're all there to have fun. Let's just enjoy ourselves. So yeah, those are some of the things we think about cosplay. Hopefully we'll get to witness and have some cool pictures of some cosplay that we'll see at these upcoming Comic-Cons that we're going to be going to. I'm excited. There's always, I think last year I saw a full-on Voltron guy walking around. So he was like you said, 9 foot tall, sitting up there, like, I don't know how you even get in the doors, and then you got to walk around all day. That's just a chore in itself. So, but I'm excited to get into my own gear and see how the whole new experience being a cosplayer goes this year. So we're going to share our experiences, Bobby, so people get to see how that goes. So the next thing we're going to talk about, we're going to go on to the comics and the merchandise, things that, kind of started out in Comic-Con. Comic-Con, of course, is comic convention, so people should go there to see what the comics are all about, but it's kind of moved away from that situation that we talked about earlier. But no Comic-Con is complete without the vast amounts of the comics and merchandise, toys, and everything from all different shows and media that you love. So some of the cool things that I definitely enjoy about going to Comic-Cons and trying to see these toys is just getting to find that merchandise or that toy that you didn't even know existed, or that you've been searching for, that, it's all in the hunt. You don't want to just because it's on eBay or Amazon, you don't just snap it off. You want to find it somewhere, and you want to maybe you want to haggle. You want to find that good price and just get it in your hands right then and there. So that's one thing for me, trying to find toys, is the hunt. They're going around the dozens, if not, probably up to 100 vendors, depending on the type of convention you're at. All these vendors, just find that one toy that you're looking for, and if you do, and you get that right price for it, or you just find it, that's you're like Indiana Jones. You just probably you found the crystal skull and you're done. So for me, this is the hunt and finding it and haggling are the two best things for me when it comes to the toys and the merchandise.
Did you reference Crystal Skull? That's the Indiana Jones movie you picked?
I said it and I regretted it when I said it. So I couldn't think. For some reason, the Ark of the Covenant didn't come up. The Holy Grail didn't come up. Nothing came up when I was speaking 30 seconds ago.
We're just gonna move past that. We're not gonna talk about it. But anyway, I don't really ever go in with a mindset of I gotta find this item. It's more of just I just want to see everything, because I don't even know what's out there. It's just great to, and I wish I had more money sometimes to buy these toys, because I just oh, it's a McDonald's toy, kids meal toy from 1995 or something. Oh yeah, I kind of sort of remember that. It's just that. Once again, it's all nostalgia a lot of times. Or it's it's this Toy Story toy from Toy Story 2, where I'm oh, I had that and it broke or whatever. I don't have $300 to buy this new one. But man, if I did, if I ever become really rich, that's going to be one of the first things I do, is just buy old toys I either couldn't afford or things that are awfully nostalgic to me that I wish I could have a new version of, obviously Power Ranger stuff we always talk about. But one of the memories I have is when I went back before Comic-Con was super crowded, when I went with my dad. Like I said, this is right around when Spider-Man coming out, the biggest thing, movies, where it's Batman and Robin. Those are the main action figures I had. I had a lot of Batman, a lot of Robin, just from those movies, and I'd watch those movies on VHS all the time. But what I never had, because they never really sell them that much? Batgirl. There wasn't a lot of Batgirl figures that you could find, even though there was. But even this day and age, sometimes it's hard to find the female characters when you go to Toys R Us or Target or wherever. And so I never really had one, and she was in that movie. And so I remember going to Comic-Con. They had a Batgirl figure from Batman and Robin, which, like I said, at the time I personally really loved, because as a kid. And I got the Batgirl figure. So that was one of those figures that, I really remember, I didn't even know that I wanted it, but once I got it, no joke, I played with it all the time because it was now part of the set. You gotta have all three together. Fight Mr. Freeze, fight the Riddler. It was great.
No, that's like you said, like I was saying earlier, you run into those things that you didn't even know existed, or that have been such a rarity that as soon as you see it, you have to snag it. Or a toy that was broken from back in the day. I've run into so many the He-Man Masters Universe, the Castle Grayskull, or the Power Rangers toys we talked about so many times. But man, those prices, they get up there. And that's one of my cons, is the pricing. You may find what you've been looking for, but you better have the money for it, because I most of the time I'm stuck looking, because it's either I've brought enough money I have set enough money that I want to spend, or it's at that point I'm this would be ridiculous if I spend this much money on this thing right now, $300 to $500 for Castle Grayskull, those type of things. And that is the downside, because you will see them, but they know that you want them, and they want you to pay heavily for them.
So, and then another thing too is what they do at conventions now is con exclusives. That's the whole point, that you can buy these exclusive toys. Mattel will do stuff, Bandai might do stuff, Hasbro definitely does stuff. There'll be 6 or 7 items that are exclusive to, especially for San Diego, and I think New York Comic Con they probably do it. Definitely the bigger ones, but definitely for San Diego, it's you can get this Hot Wheels set that looks just like the Batmobiles or whatever, but you can only get it at Comic Con, which is kind of sucks for a lot of people, because not everyone can afford it. And then, of course, you have people buying 3 or 4 of those. They resell on eBay for double the price. So it's kind of cool, not cool. And then also a lot of times, sometimes in my Comic-Con, and I think I was mentioning this before, there's lines everywhere. I don't know where any of these lines go to, but it's just like, it's one line, then transforms into another line. So then there's no end. It's all just one line. And it's like, I don't know what people are waiting for, but I'm assuming it's like to collect these certain things from places that I don't even know what they are. I've never heard of them. Or if I go like Funko, I love Funko Pops. Funko now at San Diego Comic-Con has a huge display, and they have like 50 different versions. But by the time, if I am lucky enough to even get into the Comic-Con, I go over there and the only ones they have left are like the third lead on Walking Dead or something I don't even watch. It's like nobody wants this one white dude Funko Pop. That's not cool. I want the Megazord. The Megazord sold out. So that's another thing. It's like kind of exclusives. They only make 1,000. It's like, what the hell? What's the point?
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about because I had seen that at the last Denver Comic Con. They had the San Diego Comic Con exclusive Ninja Turtle set where it had like, they looked exactly like they did. I think it was like the cartoon version. They had like this Shredder, the April. They had like a whole setup there, and it was exclusive, like you talked about. And the guy was selling it for $1,500 or something like that. And I was like, Jesus, like, I mean, it's awesome. I wanted it, but man, it just hurt to know that somebody was turning it for that type of pricing. I was like, man, this is how it is. This is it's a window shopping game at this point.
And that's when it goes back to that how expensive these conventions can be for certain people. Because if you think about, first of all, just getting the tickets and especially for like the big ones. First, you have to try and get them. Like you have to win a lottery just to get tickets. Then you have to get hotel rooms. Then you have to fly there. And then on top of that, then of course, you're paying for meals, you're paying for drinks, you're paying for whatever you're doing in nightlife. And then on top of that, you're waiting in line to get these like $200 collectibles. Like, it's a pretty penny some of these people are putting away. I mean, some people, this is like their big trip every year, is to go to a convention or one of the big conventions. Like I'm not going to Hawaii this year. I'm not going to Alaska this year or whatever. Sorry, hun, we're going to Comic-Con and I'm going to drop $3,000.
And that's for real. People do that, and that's what's going to be happening this weekend. Like, I mean, I've put monies aside, but like, who knows how much extra I'll spend just because I see something that I want, and I have to have it at that point in time. And so, yeah, like you said, it's just kind of you have to really plan accordingly. If you're going to go there and you want to find something, then you dedicate your time to that. Unless if you're trying to get an overall experience, that's probably not going to happen because you're going to be waiting in one line or another for a majority of that time to enjoy something. So yeah, we're going to get into this line. The lines are going to come up a few times. So that was the comics and the merchandise. The next one I want to get into are the awesome panels that go on at Comic-Con. There are always a variety of panels, all informative sessions based on all kinds of different niche type of topics, like the real science behind Star Wars and Star Trek type ones, and the learn how to get into movie making, just all kinds of things. And I've always enjoyed them, trying to figure out which niche little thing I want to get into. So do you get into them when you go to Comic-Con? So do you look at the schedule of panels and figure out which ones you want to get into?
See, panels is usually the thing is kind of last on my mind, just because there are amazing panels, but you also have to wait in line sometimes. You have to wait in line days in advance to see the biggest and the best, especially for San Diego Comic-Con. Saturday is usually always reserved for DC or Warner Brothers and Marvel. Marvel always goes out last, big, Saturday night. They always have the big panel, if they are there. Some years are not there. This year, they're not going to be there. And Warner Brothers has Saturday morning. And then, of course, they're dropping trailers. They got all the big celebrities. They got the DC movies and Marvel movies. And they put on a big show. It's worth the wait from what I can see, or from what I see online later the night, or from people that are there. It's like, it's worth that wait. But at the same time, it's, for me, like, it's hard because there's so much to do at these conventions that I don't want to just be standing in line. Like, part of me, like, it's hard because, like I said, where there's celebrities, there's merchandise, there's every little corner, there's something to do. And especially the bigger cons, there's things outside the convention that even when you're in the convention, you're missing something that's happening outside the convention, either if it's like a parade or this person showed up over here to sign something, or they're showing a screening of this one old movie or something. Like, there's so much happening that it's like I have like OCD over it or something, that like I can't just stand in line and not do anything. Like, I feel like I have to constantly be moving. So
me too.
Panels,
me too.
I don't really look into as much just because, even though I've seen some, but yeah, it's like, well, if I ever become press and I can get into these, then hell yeah. But it's almost like I'd rather just like do things that are more in my control, like buying stuff or whatever, seeing people and whatever, keep moving, compared to, I don't even know if I'm gonna get into this panel. Why stress myself out?
Yeah, no, and it's funny too, because I think like with the two different panels we're talking about, like the panels here in San Diego and in Denver, you know, a lot smaller, like more like informative. But like you've talked about with San Diego, they formed into this whole different monster. To now it's PR for the next Marvel movie, the next DC movie. So people are waiting days in line to just for that, to go through all that preparation to get to San Diego and just to wait in the line to see one panel was in Hall H or whatever it is where it is, and that's just like you said. To me, that's a big waste. I don't want to stand in one line or just a couple lines to see a few things. I want to get the most out of my experience. And so sitting in these long lines for panels is not what I want to do, as much as I want to hear some exclusive stuff about whatever next Marvel movie's coming out. I'm sure it'll be posted on YouTube in an hour or two. You can definitely check it out. Yeah, you weren't there to see it live. I think I can live with that. I think I'll be fine.
Yeah, and there's some of us that can, like you and me, we have no problem missing those, because like you were just saying, that's like the energy in that room would be incredible. But at the same time, and like I said, I don't even have a pass to get inside most of the time. So if I do get a pass, I'm like, I got to see everything. I'm not going to get the pass and then stand in line and hopefully try to get in to see the last 2 minutes of Andrew Garfield on stage or something. Like, I don't care that much, because I would rather see the best. Because sometimes also the panels can be a little awkward. Like, they might not be that good. I think sometimes the panels sometimes are amazing, but they can also be a gamble, because it's just people talking, and that can be really awkward sometimes. If you don't have a good moderator up there, like sometimes, like I remember one year Conan O'Brien, I think, did the Warner Brothers panel, because Conan is owned by Warner Brothers and blah, blah, blah. So for some reason he was doing that, but he doesn't really seem to know that much about like the DC movies and the Warner Brothers movies. So even though Conan is great, he might not have been the great moderator. And so, you know, you can have awkward conversations and the fans have questions, and that can always be a little weird. And, you know, sometimes that whole thing can be a little cringy to me as well. So I would rather wait when things go on YouTube the next day or the next week and just be like, oh, it's the best of the best. Oh, look when Chris Pratt did this one thing on stage, or look when this person dressed up. Andrew Garfield was in the audience. Like, that happened one year. He was dressed as Spider-Man asking a question. Haha. You know, I like seeing that stuff real briefly, but if I was actually there, I don't know. Like I said, it can be a little cringe. It can be a little like I'm just waiting to see a trailer. But some people, that's what they want to do. They go to these conventions, and that's the main thing they want to do, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's what's so great.
No,
there's so many different things you can do if that's what you want to do. If you want to wait in line for 3 days to see the first trailer for Infinity War or whatever, I also am like, I understand, because that also sounds kind of great.
Exactly. To each their own. You know, if that's what you want to do. If just for our personal preferences, we'd rather go out and do some more stuff, get some more things done. But like you said, I'd rather see the highlight reel of what a lot of these things are happening. Yes, it's being in there real time and in the moment is cool. It's a cool experience. But if I put in that much time and money, I'd rather just kind of be like, I'll see it later, and I'm off to enjoy my time as much as I can in the Comic-Con experience. But like you said, people, it's the experience sometimes is seeing these panels. So if that's your thing, that's awesome, because nowadays they've gone from the Denver Comic-Con ones I'm talking about, where they're talking about like the sounds and science behind Star Wars, to where you can go to San Diego Comic-Con and you get to see the trailer for the next like DC movie that's coming out in like 4 years or something like that. So like those are the differences in the panels. But like I said, if you like to see them, that's awesome. But it's just, for me, it can be hit and miss, because sometimes too, like you said, waiting in line for a long panel, maybe that's not a celebrity panel, but just like an informative panel, and you get in there and it sucks. You just wasted like a good hour and a half, 2 hours waiting in line, and then figuring out during the panel that it sucks.
Yeah, and then if you wait in line, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I can't wait to see, and then you get there and you're like, oh, well, they didn't even show me this. Or you go in with expectations. And if I'm not there, I'll read about it online or watch somebody go, well, that panel wasn't that good because they didn't show a new trailer, they didn't show this or whatever. It's like, yeah, that kind of sucks. But, if you wait in line for that, I mean, that like I said, people are spending a lot of money to be at these conventions. So you want to have the best time possible. And that's why I can see some people going away dissatisfied, maybe if they go to San Diego Comic-Con or one of the big hyped ones. But yeah, like I said, whatever. Everyone can do whatever they want. I'm personally fine. This literally what I do is when these like the Marvel panels, when those Marvel panels are going on, because like I said, I'm a huge Marvel nut for these movies and everything. I'm literally on my phone just reading the live tweets where people are just going, "They just announced this. Chris Pratt's doing a handstand," and like all this, like Tom Holland is literally, kissing people in the audience or something. It's like, cool. I freak out just reading it, but I can also read it while, I'm at the Tick Experience for Amazon. I keep bringing that up because they did that last year, but like whatever. Like I'm getting a free T-shirt for the movie, something with John Cusack. I don't know that I've never heard of. Whatever.
Well, no, like you said, it is nice to just kind of detach yourself from that type of situation. But like we keep going back to it. If it is your thing, all power to you. Get after it. So one of the last things though we're going to get into in regards to Comic-Cons is the true staple of most Comic-Cons, like we just talked about, is the celebrity guests. Comic-Cons started out as just comics, but now they're more focused on what's the next big Marvel or DC movie coming out. So we have a lot of celebrity guests, a lot in attendance for these Comic-Cons. Either it be for the big San Diego panels, or it could be at the smaller conventions doing autographs and photo ops with people. So you get the A-listers like Jason Momoa. Maybe Jason Momoa's not A-lister, but he's in the A-list kind of movies, I guess you could say. Yeah. And then you have people coming down from shows that you used to watch in the 90s and 80s who are on the Comic-Con circuit. So you get a variety of celebrities. So that's one thing that I enjoy about it is the variance, because it's not just focus on, I can only see this A-list celebrity and I have to wait 3 hours in line. No, I could see this one celebrity that I liked in this 80s TV show back in the day, and I just go up to them and have an intimate conversation with them, because not to say that they're not popular, but they might be more open to giving some more conversation.
Yeah, and that's also the kind of, I think, the difference, and why there's probably a lot of people who actually have more of an opinion than we do about the big conventions that have now, like you were saying, become like a PR thing, and the smaller ones, like when I went to the Sacramento one last year, it was very small. It was the exact opposite of the San Diego one, which was weird for me because I've usually only ever been to that one. So going to one that was like probably a couple hundred people, very small, a lot of open space. I wasn't crammed in there, and there was a little autograph alley. And sometimes the problem is the autograph alley can be a little sad just because it is kind of like, hey, remember this person from 20 years ago? They're on display, like you're at the zoo or something. It does feel a little weird, but at the same time, I think there's probably also people that go up to them and, like for me, like if I saw one of the Power Rangers or something like that, I could easily be like, you my whole life is different because of you. And I think there are certain celebrities who I think enjoy doing some of these autographs or connecting with people because they do get that feeling of like, that stupid kids show I did 20 years ago, that actually like made a difference to people. Like people's lives change, or they have a tattoo on their arm of me, or, they named their kid after my character or something, like I think one of the reasons, and there's so many cons now, but a lot of these, at least for, I keep track of some of the Power Rangers and some of these other like Star Trek people and whatever, they just go to convention every week. And I think they're making money just going to the Denver convention. Then it's the Salt Lake City convention, then St. Louis, and then it's this and then it's that. And so they're just meeting people and signing autographs and signing Funko Pops and whatever. But I'm assuming that they're meeting people that at this point, with nostalgia being at peak nostalgia. Like nostalgia's never been as peak as it is now, this day and age. We've come full circle on like these people did a stupid show when they were whatever age. Then they probably didn't have much of a career. They hated being typecast. And now I think some of them at least have probably come back around to being like, you know what? That one thing I did, that really made a difference. And so anyway, so I think with some of these smaller conventions, you can have more of an intimate conversation. And I think you can get to know certain fans and stuff like that maybe you can at San Diego Comic-Con just because it's madness.
And even with the, like you talked about the smaller to bigger ones, Denver Comic-Con's the bigger one here in Colorado, but there's Colorado Springs not too far from here, and that's where I got to see, I met Keith Coogan and also William Zabka, Johnny Lawrence. Cobra Kai. This was last year, so this is like, I think they were literally either filming or getting ready to film Cobra Kai.
He's now A-list again.
And it was one of those situations. It was a super small convention in this like abandoned mall, like kind of a sad like Colorado. Like I figured Colorado Springs had a better place for his Comic-Con, but like And you had all these celebrities, like Power Rangers were in there. I think 2 NSYNC people, band members were in there. And then I walked by William Zabka. It was one of those situations, like I walked by him and like people on each side of him like had people talking to them, and he was kind of he was like by himself, like seemed like he probably was chilling there for a minute. I was like, oh man, like had that kind of like not sad look, but like, yeah, I've been here for a minute and no one's talked to me. So I went over and just kind of gave a quick chat. I was like, hey man, like I wasn't planning on it because I was kind of had my set. Lou Diamond Phillips was there, and Lou Diamond was my man. So I was like, I gotta go see La Bamba action. But William Zabka was happening to be on my way there, and I was like, yeah, hey man, cool. I love Johnny Lawrence, and yeah, he just kind of got into it. And he had mentioned, he's like, yeah, we have some things in the works. I can't really say too much, but I think hopefully people will enjoy it in the near future. I was like, awesome, man. But I honestly didn't think too much of it, because you always do hear about those celebrities having some project in the works, but you never hear about it again, or it just doesn't maybe come to fruition. So I just kind of brush it off. And then 8 months later, I'm here. I see this trailer for Cobra Kai. I'm like, oh my god,
he's huge. He's big again. I have some crazy stories from last year's Comic-Con. I'm gonna run through this real quick. But basically, I separated last year's. Like I said, I went Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I don't actually have passes inside, but it's more of like, okay, Thursday I'm gonna walk around, just see everything. I just want to walk around, just see every single thing that's set up, every single booth, every single whatever. Friday, then it was cosplay time, and then Thursday was literally like, well, I'm tired now because I've been running around for 2 days. All I want to do is just relax at like one of these hotels and try and see some sort of celebrities. And when I say celebrities, it can be anybody from like the cast of the Avengers, which would be all hell would break loose if that happens, to like, oh, it's Bulk from Power Rangers or something, like a C-lister or something.
Take that too.
But this is what happened last year. I literally got dropped off. I was like, I just want to walk, and there's certain hotels they put the celebrities at because they're so close to conventions, and they just usher the celebrities out, and people just wait there with their cameras. They just wait to see these 2 seconds of see these celebrities, so they get ushered from the convention to a black limousine or a black SUV that goes all the way around the convention just so they can go in the back, because as you would imagine, even if they just walked in the front door, these people get murdered alive because they're superheroes and heroes and comic book, whatever. So last year I literally was walking towards the hotel, like, I wonder if I'll see any celebrities. And luckiest timing in the world, as I'm walking towards the door of the hotel, out comes Ben Affleck.
Oh,
and all
Batman.
Do you know actually who came out first? No, you just mentioned this. Jason Momoa came out first. And so Jason Momoa comes out, and he's a huge dude, right? He comes out, and all of a sudden, in my head, because nobody noticed him yet, and I'm walking towards him, I'm like, hey, that's Jason Momoa. That's weird. That's like the first thing in my mind. Then one girl screams like Beatlemania, and then it's an all-out craziness. And I'm just standing there, and I didn't even like take any photos. And people are all around me going crazy. They're whipping out their phones. And I was like, I didn't even know what happened, And then he got ushered by 2 security guards who are smaller than him, and he gets ushered into a van. And then everyone kind of was like, that's weird. And then everyone like leaves. They disperse. And then like 10 minutes goes by, and I'm just kind of like standing around. Like I said, I was going to hang out in the lobby of that hotel anyway. And I'm like. And I was thinking to myself, like, the Justice League panel is happening in, like, 20 minutes, And so I'm like, I think the rest of the cast, I know they're coming. And then, like, this is when Ben Affleck came out. And once again, nobody was there because everyone was like, oh, Jason Momoa came out 10 minutes ago, that's it. Then, once again, everyone freaks out because I think it was a different girl went, Ben Affleck, oh my God! And people are freaking out. So I and you can post these photos too, I have photos of the Justice League. And then he walks by, a couple minutes go by, Gal Gadot comes by, and at this point, everyone's ready with their cameras. I get pushed out. I just got shoved out or something. And then
elbowed by one of the girls.
Ezra Miller went by, and he was in cosplay. And then Ray Fisher, who plays Cyborg, who nobody knows who that is, walks by and like nobody cared because he's the one not celebrity mainly of all of them.
That's true.
And so people were like, wait, who is that? And I was like, that's Cyborg. And they're like, I don't know what that is. And then
you just feel the energy just die when he comes
It was like
out.
basically it was Ben Affleck, Cyborg, and everyone was like, yeah. And then Gal Gadot, and everyone was like, oh my God, because Wonder Woman just came out. And so anyway, that was last year's experience, and I'm like, I'm never gonna top that. And like I said, I didn't shake their hands. I didn't talk to them. I took a couple photos from far range. That's all I'm interested in, Carlos. Like, I don't want to talk to these people because I don't think they want to talk to me. I get it. I don't want to bother them. I am perfectly fine literally sitting 10 feet away and going, hey, it's that one person from that one. It's the guy from the TV show Chuck. I watched that once. There he is. Like that's and that's all I want from these celebrity encounters. It's not even really encounters. I just want to go, hey, I did it. Check, and it's like checking off a mental list of like, hey, I saw Ben Affleck from afar. That was cool.
No, for real. Have you had any like awkward encounters that you've met face to face with any of these guys, any celebrities?
I once met the soup Nazi from Seinfeld.
Whoa, did he have the stash and everything?
He had the stash. Well, he goes in full attire. This was like an autograph type of thing where you get autographs of people. And so he literally was selling. He was selling ladles. He had plastic ladles with his signature on that you could buy for $25. And then he was wearing his full soup Nazi white, Chef Ramsay attire or whatever. And I went with my uncle, and he always goes to these autograph shows. He has a whole book of autographs. And it was one of those things once again, like I said, it's very awkward. I'm awkward with people sometimes, especially with celebrities. I don't know them. But my uncle was like, come on, get a picture with them. He's going to love it. And so I was just kind of like, hey, how you doing, sir? Okay. Posted, like, haha. No soup for you, and it's something that he's probably said 500,000 times by now. He just wants to shoot himself. But he's making $20 a ladle, so you can't really complain with a ladle. I wish I could sell ladles. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly. It's like sometimes you almost feel bad, but then you think about the money these people are probably making on some of this stuff. $20 a pop for pictures or an autograph or a ladle.
Yeah. Oh, and then also this is the other one. Last year at Sacramento, because this was a small convention, I was going to the bathroom, and who did I pee next to? Kevin Sorbo from Hercules. Hercules himself. Nice. I peed right next to him. I'm like, dude, Kevin Sorbo? Check it off the list.
What if Xena came on the stall next to you? You had Xena and Hercules.
I'd be like, why are you at the urinal? This is blowing my mind.
She's like, you know why.
It's blowing my Kevin Sorbo and Xena. Wild. So yeah. Dude, anyway, those awesome. Are my. Yeah. That's kind of it. I've seen a couple other people from afar, but yeah, those are the peaks and valleys of my celebrity encounters.
Yeah, mine, like I said, was the Colorado Springs one. Since my Comic-Con experience is limited, mine was like the Colorado Springs, since it's a little more intimate one. And so I got close to William Zabka. I think my wife and I talked to Joey Fatone for a minute. And then, that was her dream. I was like, oh, Joey Fatone, awesome. Hennessy, nice. And then the one weird one that I had was not like a true celebrity, but more a YouTube celebrity, was the nostalgia critic, Doug Walker.
Oh.
So yeah, he was at this comic. There's a couple YouTube's celebrities, I guess, at this Comic-Con, and he happened to be there. And I definitely enjoy me some nostalgia critic. We're the nostalgia guys. I love me nostalgia critic. So I was like, I gotta meet Doug Walker. So I walk over there, all gung ho. I was like, give my wife the camera, make sure get a good picture of us. And I shake his hand. I'm like, hey man, appreciate you, doing your thing, inspiring a bunch of us to, us people who love nostalgia to get into it and do our own things. And thinking, that was pretty much it. Just a quick little thanks for that. And he just kind of stared into my soul for like 6 seconds, like, cool. And then pose to the camera.
Very strange.
And let go. And I was like, all right, well, thanks again, man. Have a good one. And just another blank stare for like 6 seconds. All right, just like his weird smile, and I was like, nod his head, and I walked off, and I was just like, I don't know if I made that awkward or if he made that awkward. I can't tell.
And he's like, he's like not even. That's a weird, different, like not celebrity like parallel, because he's not really a celebrity, but he kind of is to some people.
Yeah.
That's well, you're probably like, he's probably never heard that before. You're probably like, hey man, you're kind of inspiring. And he went, me. Are you talking about me?
Yeah.
You're talking to Kevin Sorbo.
It kind of was. Yeah, I know. It was no Kevin Sorbo or Lou Diamond Phillips, but I was definitely, I was like, yeah, man, YouTube and everything. I definitely, like, because I had, when I first started my YouTube channel, I had based the way I had edited things on the way they incorporated like their funny clips and things like that into their videos. So I was like, yeah, man, you inspired me to kind of get into that kind of style. So thank you. And just kind of gave me that blank stare. So I'm like, all right, am I making this awkward? Is he making this awkward? Are we both making this awkward?
I will say that once again, I do like that about conventions, is that there is different, like everyone has different types of celebrities though. Like obviously Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Ben Affleck, like those are major celebrities in massive $1 million movies. But then there's also littler celebrities. Like there's nowadays there's internet people. Like you could walk by, like like I've watched Nostalgia Critic, but if I saw him I wouldn't really care. But I have walked by, I watch like Screen Junkies, I watch Collider, I watch a lot of like movie type of YouTube shows, and I have been to Comic-Cons where they walk right past me, where all of a sudden I go, to me, I'm like, oh my god, it's Josh. But nobody else notices them except like one out of every 100 people goes, hey, I know you. So it's kind of cool that like, hey, that's my type of like celebrity who is also somebody that I could see. I'm not going to meet Ben Affleck, but like that person I follow on YouTube is like, oh, he's just hanging out right here. I can go shake his hand. And, because I did do that one time. There was somebody I saw on the show and I said, hey man, you're awesome. And he was just like, hey, thanks man. And like I shook his hand and he left. And that's the type of experience I want. Shake a hand. He says thanks. There's no awkward conversation or anything. And he kept walking. Like that was it. And because also they're not getting bothered that much. Like I said, 1 in 100 people might know them because they're internet celebrities. Like that varies. So it is kind of cool that we all have our different sort of celebrities.
Exactly. Like it has evolved to that point. It's not just the A-listers. You can have your own little corner of a celebrity that like, I enjoy this person and I want to give them the appreciation that I have. They don't get it as much as some of the other celebrities. So when they get that type of appreciation, they're more appreciative and they have that genuine conversation or interaction, and maybe a little less awkward. I don't know. Like I said, I think we both made it awkward, so it's kind of both our faults from my Doug Walker conversation. So yeah, celebrity guests, they can vary from the small to large guests. It's just whoever is your type of celebrity or who is your favorite person, you just make it your own. And if you want to stand in line for them, that's the other thing. Some of these Comic-Cons, to see Stan Lee last year, it was like a 3-hour line wait to see Stan Lee for
He's
like
big.
To pay $100 to get a picture with Stan Lee. And there was at least 1,000 people in this line. I'm like, that guy is cleaning house.
You would imagine
at every convention.
Yeah, you would think, like, I don't know, because I don't know if they have to fly themselves there or not. I think they're doing okay. It's just nice that, like I said, for like people I followed, like some of the Power Rangers, who obviously a lot of them aren't professional actors anymore, or whatever. Like at least they're getting something back from what they did when they were in their late teens, early 20s, and at least they can form some sort of connection with people. That's all. I'm happy. I'm like, they're making it. I'm glad to see that they're making it.
Exactly, and some of the celebrities I have talked to who do the conventions, they're super appreciative over the last 5 or 6 years or so, where it has blown up to the fact they're just getting inundated with so many people telling them how much of an impact they had on their childhoods and how much they still enjoy it, showed to their kids. So yeah, they are maybe at first, like you said, they got into that little window of time where they maybe didn't want to be recognized as that person from that one show or movie, but now they're embracing it, and it's making a difference with maybe their bank accounts and with the way they see themselves. So yeah, I think celebrity guests, it's a double-edged sword, but I like them. I think, like you said, you can see your favorite celebrity from a distance, or you can have an intimate conversation with them at a smaller convention. Who knows? So it runs the gamut. So that's pretty much all the things that I wanted to get into with the conventions. Bobby, anything else that you wanted to bring up that we didn't get into?
No, I mean, like I said, it's always, even the worst times, it's great times. For me
Yeah,
personally,
exactly.
I know that some people, like I said, sometimes some conventions are too big now. Maybe some of them are too small or whatever. But like I said, I just appreciate that they're even a thing. And I always try to have a good time because who knows? Maybe in 20 years, it's all going to go back to being nerds are nerds and cool kids are cool kids. And those things are separated like they used to. But I think it's all fun. And so I appreciate it. If you guys are out there at San Diego Comic-Con this year walking around, look for me. Even if you don't know what I look like, just look for the guy wearing a box. And I'll be happy to take some photos with you.
Awesome. Well, yeah, Bobby, I'm excited too to get into these Comic-Cons. We're going to share our experiences, see how our cosplays goes. It's my first year. This is like your 5th year, so we're going to see how the box goes for the 5th year and go from there. But like I said, yeah, there's everything I want to go get into. So I appreciate you taking the time, good sir. Why don't you let the listeners know where they can find you and follow your words of nostalgic wisdom online?
Oh, well, you guys can follow me on Twitter at Captain Berto, or follow me on Facebook or whatever. I am. You can see some of my. I'm a video editor, videographer, and I'm trying to get into that more. I'm trying to do more fun, cool stuff. So you guys can see me on YouTube. Sometimes I go under the name Robert Semelsberger. It makes me sound more professional because I am here trying to get a job. So either Bobby or Robert. Bobby for the fun, friendly me, and then Robert when I'm getting a little serious. So yeah, check me out, see some videos. If you guys want to hire me, I'll do wedding videos. I'll do bar mitzvahs, any romantic rendezvous. I got a camera and editing equipment. Always, Carlos, thank you for having me back. I love being behind the mic. It's been a while. And it's always great talking to you.
Of course, man. Can't wait to do it again. We're definitely going to be doing it soon. So thanks again. But everybody else, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Be Kind and Rewind podcast. Make sure you tune in every Throwback Thursdays for new episodes of the podcast. Subscribe, like, follow, and rate the podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Poop Culture Podcast Network at poopculture.com. Also, follow the podcast on social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Be Kind Rewind Pod for all of your nostalgic needs. So thanks, and be excellent to each other.
What you just heard was a podcast from the Poop Culture Extended Universe. For more great podcasts, make your way to www.poopculture.com.